Hello everyone and good morning for you guys. If it is the morning, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between Heshla and Kenzy here on Daybreak. Now, normally I do like to know a little bit about the players before I get into casting, but due to time constraints, I'm just going to jump right in and hopefully we'll learn a little bit about these players as we move along. We have Heshla spawning as the orange Terran player here at what I will call the 4 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Kenzy is spawning as the yellow Zerg over here on the top right-hand side of the map. Very, very thankful that they are not playing the very traditional red versus blue on Daybreak. It adds a little bit of variety to rather stale growing Wings of Liberty until we finally have Heart of the Swarm come out. Taking a look at the strategies here, you can see that Heshla most likely will be placing that barracks on the front door unless he's going to be trying to go for a command center first. Meanwhile, Kenzy, on the other hand, has a number of options. Spawning pool first, hatchery first, both of them are very viable at the current meta as we do see the barracks now being placed down. Some of the things that I did want to mention in this series or in this Terran versus Zerg is how strong Zerg does seem to be as of late. It's really up to the Terran player to try and put down a lot of pressure. And it's really come down to Terran players actually being a little bit more responsive than Zerg. Zerg players in the past were generally the responsive race. They needed to figure out what their opponent was going and then build the right units at just the right time. One of their strengths, though, was that they could easily build those units in the matter of seconds because of the way Larva works. Now it is up to Terran to figure out how they're going to harass based upon what they see and whether or not that harassment will even be successful. Heshla is going to be training up a Marine. That one drone will most likely be pulling back, and because of no proxy 2-wax antics, we are going to be going into a very traditional economic build. This is what I was talking about in terms of a little bit of the staleness in Wings of Liberty, as I can probably close my eyes and now cast the next minute and a half to 2 of what's going to be going on. We're going to see Heshla either place down double refineries or double barracks in the next couple of seconds in order to be able to defend his natural expansion. Meanwhile, Kenzy is going to be sitting on 2 bases and will eventually go for a third base pretty quickly, perhaps in the next minute and a half or so. Kenzy will most likely not be going for any true gas sort of build as he really wants to focus on those drones. Kenzy will get an economic advantage with about a 7 to 12 drone advantage early on in this game. As we can see, there is that front door. You can see the Marines are now just playing target practice against a supply depot. That will be burning down. And what is this? Heshla doing a gutsy move here, placing down a command center at the 9 o'clock position. I really like this play by Heshla. It's a little bit of variety. It is rather risky though, unless Kenzy does place down his gas. Heshla, after scouting out and realizing that his opponent didn't go for any gas, thought to himself, you know what, even if there are Zerglings, they're not going to be able to really take me down. Kenzy, currently keeping track of the front door, still doesn't know about this base off over here, and we'll see how he's going to be responding. So a little bit of a ninja expansion in the typical location, just much earlier than you would find normally. You can see that the harvester advantage is already starting to grow, but that will start to even out in just a moment as Heshla will be upgrading this to an orbital command a few moments later. There is that double refinery, so it looks as though we are going to be going more into a mech play. Nope, it is not mech play. It is going to be your standard Terran bio starport coming in, just going for double factory to make sure you have those medevacs a little bit earlier. Okay, Kenzy is establishing up his third base, and all of these in this game right now is pretty much looking like your standard macro wars of Wings of Liberty. No aggression as of yet, no engagements. Gonna be waiting to see when they are gonna be attacking. So Terran players, as opposed to trying to run in with Hellions, being stopped by 4 to 6 Queens, it looks like they're transitioning more into perhaps a third base. This is still risky though, as Zerg players could easily just throw down a Roach Warren, not go for the heavy drone count, and then instead push in with 12 to 15 drones and win the game that way. We are seeing double reactors come in now. There is the double Hellions now being trained. No stim pack, no combat shield. That does come as a surprise to me, as we are now going into even more Marines. Spine crawler and now being placed down. And this is pretty much typical of what we're going to be seeing, at least for the next couple of weeks, until Heart of the Swarm does finally release. Hellions now trying to control here. The Queen's just such an effective anti-harassment unit that even these Hellions cannot get the job done any longer. You can see that we are currently running on 4 Queens. I would have been surprised if we weren't at 6. Yes, we are on 6 Queens, as the Zerglings are now trying to make their way over. These Hellions were not able to get in. They were received by a group of Zerglings, and those Zerglings said, you know what, get out of my house. Heshla, though, looking very strong. He is supply blocked at 73 supply. He should be building some more supply depots. Yes, there we go, as we are now going into 1-1 upgrades. Kenzy may feel that he is in a little bit of a false sense of security, believing that he has the advantage right now. He does not, and I like that play by Heshla. Heshla was actually trying to take down this creep tumor here by attacking the destructible rocks and hoping that the splash damage would travel over it, perhaps not knowing that there was one creep tumor there. He had already taken down this creep tumor here. Now we are adding a bunker, some supply depots, making it a little bit more difficult to actually get into position. But once more, Heshla undoing all the good that he's been working on so far by being supply blocked once more. Hellions now making their way down to the Zelnaga Tower. They're going to be holding here, and I'm still waiting for some sort of action from either of these players. We don't see anything as of yet, just a macro hatch coming in from Kenzy, and both of these players are just going to macro up and build up to that 200 supply composition of units that they are comfortable with. Stim now nearing completion. We can see we are going into an armory for 2-2 upgrades as the moment that 1-1 upgrades are done. I am surprised though that those Marines do not have combat shield. They are going to be a little bit more vulnerable to roaches, but they should be able to hold up against those Zerglings, as the Zerglings will not have 1-1 upgrades for a little while longer. Here we go. There is the scanner sweep. There is medevacs and Marines in the air, and we are going to see this engagement now coming in. The Marines now trying to engage here, and how much damage can be dealt. There is some cancellation there, as we are going to be going into an engagement here. Zerglings are going to try to do a run by on the far side, as the Banelings do find a good splash there. A couple good Baneling splashes, as we see the Zerglings now trying to swarm in on the front door. All right, Heshla has a small opportunity to try and close this up. It is not happening at all, and that is going to be painful for him, as the Zerglings are now just going to be running rabbit inside the natural expansion. SCV is going to be running back. Let's see, there is one bunker here and only one bunker, as the Zerglings still trying to chase. The bunker will provide a bit of cover as the Zerglings now try to chase their way over there. More Zerglings now coming across the map from the far side. The supply depots were not raised. And Heshla, what are you doing, as the Hellions and the Marines are now trying to make their way back down? One supply depot has been taken down. Here we go, more Marines fighting and countering the Zerglings, just the mass Zerglings that we see so far on the field. We are going into Hive Tech. Siege tanks do not have siege tech as of yet, and that is going to be a bit of a problem, as Heshla losing a bit more than he bargained for. Harvester count is now 60 to 61. Worker kill count 3 to 0, but the army losses does feel higher for Terran. 2-2 upgrades now coming in. We are going into a training of 12 drones. Count them, 12 drones, as a fourth base is being established. These Banelings are going to try and walk and do a bit of a bunker bust. Is it going to work out? One Baneling goes down, but the rest find their target, and there they go. Heshla is in trouble, as the Banelings getting a huge splash there. 24 SCVs taken down. And wow, that's a bad day to be riding in a space construction vehicle. 24 SCVs taken down. or yeah, I think that was about 18. There's some already SCVs down, but 24 are taken down throughout this game. Army composition still much larger for Heshla. Losses is still much larger for Heshla as well. Is Kenzy going to be able to come back with the proper units? The problem has been Kenzy has been doing tactical strikes while Heshla has not been effective with the attacks that he has. So far, SCV is just going to continue to mine here. We're going to see, oh, this SCV on the wrong side of the wall as Heshla now playing a little bit more defensively and moving out with a medevac drop of his own. Heshla does not getting 1-0 upgrades, siege tech about to be completed. And this is all rather interesting as we're going to be seeing what the strategies are going to be here in the long term. Income still about even, as Heshla does have a large amount of mules here, mining with 8 mules. That is essentially another base for him, and he needs to get back into this game, just trying to train up much more. We are going to see an Ultralisk Cavern, we are going to see Infestors, and Kenzy running off of these, 8 geysers, eventual 10, should be able to handle whatever this Terran biocomposition will be able to throw at it. Even with the weapons upgrade, it's not going to be enough as the Zergling's already at 2-2 now. And there you go, the Zergling's able to defend the hatchery, as the hatchery will get a little bit of perhaps queen love in just a moment. Infestors are still down over here. In comes a large group of units trying to come in across the center. Siege tank able to shut down on Zergling there, but we are going to be having a bit of a welcoming party. Here you go. Are the siege tanks going to siege up in time? A beautiful fungal growth catching all the medevacs, and that is going to be a problem. No more medevacs. This push is not going to be nearly as effective, and with no reinforcements, one medevac is fortunate enough to survive. The Infestors are going to slither away now, able to simply retreat as a queen going toe-to-toe against some Marines. This hatchery down over here, still a point of interest. Meanwhile, the center expansion location, only 1 rich Vespene geyser and 6 mineral patches. This is not the blizzard variation. Planetary fortress here, perhaps some siege tanks. Heshla needs to draw a line in the sand and figure out a way to deal damage. Zerg, one of their greatest abilities is how quickly they're able to respond by training new units, and also how fast their units are overall. 1 medevac doesn't even unload a single unit there. A beautiful hide of this spore crawler in the back. If I didn't see it, or if you didn't see the attack, you wouldn't even know that it was there. Beautifully done. Yeah, wow, there it is. Even rotating the camera this way, you can't see it. Nicely done. Beautiful positioning. All right, coming back around, we are going to see 2-2 Marines going up against Ultralisk who do have the fitness plating. Here we go, Infestors now coming in. There is some fungal growth, and Kenzy can simply attack, move with all of these units. The Ultralisk still very beefy, even though they do not do that. They are not the heart of the swarm variety, dealing even more damage to all things ground. And there is the retreat. This is not looking good at all. Heshla now coming in, or coming over to defend, but I believe the Infestors are not going to be able to get off of 1 fungal growth. Could be enough to at least stop all of these Marines. Not quite sure what's going on here, as the Ultralisk still battling it out. 5 damage. If you take a look, the Marines are only dealing 3 damage per pop against those Ultralisks. Will need a lot of damage before you finally take down a Ultralisk there, as a new command center has been placed down. Now, what do you do as a Zerg player when Ultralisks don't instantaneously win you the game? You go Infestor Broodlord. Alright, 3-3 upgrades. Infestor Broodlords still coming in. We are running on a fair amount of gas. Kenzy did end up losing this expansion down over here, so he will be forced to try and rebuild this. The center expansion here, rich Vespene geyser, giving him perhaps about 800 to 900 gas a minute, as double medevacs trying to fly in from the top. An Overlord is going to spot this all. How much damage will be dealt? That is the question. There is still 1 Spore Crawler here. Zergling's right underneath. The Medevac's trying to do a quick flyby. It is not going to be successful at all. As you can see, the Spire is going to be upgrading. Here comes the Medevacs now. Nope. They do decide to back off again. So many Overlords. Are we going to see perhaps another Spore Crawler here? Yes, we are. And the Medevacs pilots have to be very careful. The Marauders Marines are now already being dropped down, instead getting picked back up. Okay. Baneling Nest. Extractors, medevacs, trying to figure out where they can strike. A Greater Spire is down. Level 1 weapons upgrade now coming in. Queens now making their way over. It looks as though the medevac may get taken down. Banelings finding their target, as it looks like a Queen is going to get shut down here. Yes, it does. And the Zerglings are going to clean up once again. Medevac, 2 Marines, 1 Marauder, unable to do any of the necessary drops. Heshla, however, making a very, very strong point, hitting on multiple fronts and dealing a great amount of damage here. If he can get out in time without losing too much, that will be in a very, very advantageous position for him. But it looks like the Ultralisk, the Infestors, Infested Terran, Fungal Growth, all happening all at the same time. Ultras, however, getting choked up on each other, as Heshla once more training more units and training up double Vikings after spotting that Greater Spire. Alright, triple starport now coming in. What's going to be happening next? Ultralisk coming back over. It looks as though all those units will be backing away. Marines now trying to do a quick push in. They are going to get taken down again, as the siege tanks are going to be blasting away at some of those Ultralisks. Beautifully done, as the Marauders and the Marines were actually in the vent area, making it difficult for those Ultralisks to get within melee range of those targets. Kenzy doing what every good Zerg player does, waiting for Broodlords to try to break the siege line. We are seeing some Vikings in the air. Is it going to be enough? Heshla has been on the ropes, but is fighting his way back into this game, as the center hatchery now may get taken down. Here you have it, the Ultralisk now trying to make their way in, but there is a lot of Ultralisk here. Ultralisk now simply getting destroyed here, but doing a good job trying to take down some siege tanks as well. Vikings doing a good fight back, as the Broodlings and siege tanks are now continuing their push. A group of Infested Terran will quickly get taken down. Down some of them go, as the medevacs are still trying to offer some support. Siege tanks may try to just consider attacking in non-siege mode, as there is not that much splash damage to do. Kenzy on the ropes here, and Kenzy, after being ahead throughout much of this game, looks like he's falling to Heshla. And a great back and forth match here on Daybreak, as the mass siege tank numbers are simply becoming too much. These 1-0 siege tanks attacking and dealing a lot of damage fairly quickly. 28 damage per attack. Yeah, pretty much 28 damage a second there, especially against those Ultralisks who have high armor, but with this many siege tanks, it simply will not matter, as this hatchery once again gets taken down. Heshla now taking a very nice lead, and you can see the number of losses for Kenzy, now about 9,000 resource difference. So it looked like this massive Terran bioforce, all training siege tanks off of 3 factories, and finally the siege tank number hit the right composition. We're going to see a last-ditch effort by Kenzy trying to do us around. Some beautiful fungal growths here, and what is going to be the follow-up play? Infestors now trying to back away. Corruptors, Broodlords. There are some Manor Mules coming in, and Clone Heshla just pretty much saying, come on. And there is the GG. So, Kenzy leaves the game as Heshla takes game 1 in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed game 1, a rather entertaining back and forth match here on Daybreak.